What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about two new weapons that are going to be coming to Fortnite in Chapter 3 Season 1. The Machine Pistol, which is like an Uzi type submachine gun, and the return of the Heavy Shotgun, which actually hasn't been in the game for almost 3 years, since Chapter 1 Season 7. If you guys do enjoy this video or find it helpful and informative, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to see more, and leave a comment down below letting me know what you think of these weapons returning. Are you excited to see the Heavy Shotgun return? I know a lot of people are unhappy with the shotgun meta. I know a lot of people are going to be unhappy to see the Machine Pistol, as the spray meta has been like really rampant in Chapter 3 Season 1, and another SMG being added to the game is kind of scary. Also, if you would like to use me for support a creator, my code is just EvolveJake. If you do use my code and then send me a picture of it on social media, I will follow you back on whatever platform you use it on. So we're going to start off with the Machine Pistol, which is going to be a new submachine gun coming to the game. And we already have the Stinger SMG, so I think it would be kind of hard to make another SMG actually compete with the Stinger SMG, just because of how overpowered the Stinger is. But based on these leaked stats that we've been able to see for the Machine Pistol, I think the Machine Pistol actually does stack up quite well and could end up being even more overpowered than the Stinger SMG. I'm going to be comparing the blue or rarities of these weapons, as that's kind of like the middling rarity, you know, like it's the one in the middle. So I feel like that's the one that makes the most sense to compare. So the Machine Pistol has slightly less damage than the Stinger SMG. As you'll see here, it has 17 damage, while the Stinger has 20 for the blue rarity. However, the Machine Pistol has a 15 fire rate, while the Stinger SMG has a 12. So you lose 3 damage, but you gain 3 fire rate. And I feel like that fire rate gain is actually going to be really significant, because the damage difference only is really going to equate to 1 difference in shot to kill. So if you have an extra bullet to kill for the Machine Pistol, but you're shooting much faster, the Machine Pistol is actually going to win on DPS in most cases, I would imagine. We don't really know what the bloom is going to be like for the Machine Pistol or the headshot multiplier, so it could turn out that both of those things make this weapon like less desirable than the Stinger. But I feel like even if the bloom isn't the best for really close range fights, the Machine Pistol is probably going to eke out the advantage just because of that fire rate. And I do somewhat expect the Stinger SMG to be catching a nerf maybe before the Machine Pistol even comes to the game. So we could be in somewhat of a situation where the Stinger SMG gets nerfed, and then a week or two later the Machine Pistol comes out, and then we're just right back to a dominant SMG meta. So I think the biggest thing is just going to come down to the bloom, because the Stinger SMG has such little bloom that it's actually quite viable at medium range, which is really nice for build fights. You know, if you're a few levels above your opponent or a few tiles spaced out away, you could still spray your Stinger SMG at them from height and get like good damage in ways that you really couldn't with SMGs in the past, just because of how little the Stinger SMG's bloom is. So I think that is one like massive difference that's likely going to be between these two weapons that you can't really see on the stats page, just because they don't really like give us the numbers on that as far as the stats go. So that's my thoughts on the Machine Pistol. It'll probably be very good, but the Stinger SMG is already very good, so I feel like they kind of have to make the Machine Pistol like really overpowered for it to be like a noteworthy addition to the game. And we'll get into that later on as we talk about the shotguns, because it was a similar case with the pump in Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. So the Heavy Shotgun will be returning as well. We really don't have numbers on the Heavy Shotgun right now. All the stats that leakers have been able to find on the Heavy are placeholder numbers, and I would expect the Heavy Shotgun to be reworked quite significantly from how it was in the past, because the last time this weapon was really in the game was Chapter 2 Season 7, which is almost 3 years ago, and then it was unvaulted briefly in Season 9 as a part of the 14 Days of Fortnite event, where they unvaulted a different weapon for 24 hours. So it was briefly in Chapter 1 Season 9, but even at that point, it's been over 2 years since then, so I would really expect this weapon to perform differently than how it did in Chapter 1. As far as just like the raw damage, I think this weapon would be better than the Striker Pump Shotgun if it had its previous stats, but the Heavy Shotgun always handled really slowly, and even in Chapter 1 that was becoming a problem as more and more people were building and more people were making edit plays. How people play now just really wouldn't work with the Heavy Shotgun, because most people just play entirely off like box fighting, or try to at least with shotguns, and the Heavy Shotgun would really not be good for that, because it used to pull out really slow. If you made an edit play on somebody and then it takes a while to pull out your shotgun, it doesn't really matter if it hits harder than the other shotgun. The other guy is going to get a shot on you and then switch to his SMG and start spraying you before you even have a chance to shoot your heavy. So I would expect them to definitely rework the handling of this weapon. It still might not be the snappiest, as the name implies, it's the heavy shotgun, but I think the game is definitely in a spot where we could have another shotgun in the game and have it be quite viable. When the heavy shotgun was in the game before, it was kind of irrelevant. A lot of players tended to prefer the pump, even though we didn't have purple and gold pumps at the time. The heavy was vaulted when the purple and gold pump came in, so we just had the green and blue pump, and even just green and blue, a lot of people would prefer that to like the purple or gold heavy just because of how slow the weapon was and how good the pump shotgun was. The pump shotgun was always just incredibly like perfect. It was just the best shotgun we've ever had in Fortnite, really. So I feel like that's why they kind of made the striker pump in chapter 3 not the best, to try to avoid a situation like that. Like I was saying before with the striker SMG, if you have a gun that is so like just perfect, it's hard to introduce anything else in that category that players are actually going to want to use. So I would expect the heavy shotgun to have some advantages over the striker pump and have it be viable in some ways, but not have it just be the flat out best option entirely. But I think the game could definitely use a new shotgun right now. And the shotgun balance at the moment is really weird because I feel like the auto shotgun and the striker pump are somewhat decently balanced between one another, probably better than we've ever had in Fortnite. I know that a lot of people don't like the auto, but if you were to compare the pump and the tac in the past, everyone would take the pump just outright. And I feel like the striker pump not being as good makes some people more open to using the auto shotgun. It just turns out that both shotguns are really not that great, so most people have just gone to spraying. I think the biggest problem with this season is how good the spray weapons are and not necessarily how bad the shotguns are. The shotguns are at like an okay power level if everything else was reined in. It's just like Fortnite has been the opposite for a majority of its time. For most of Fortnite, shotguns were the most dominant weapon and everything else just took a backseat. And now it's kind of flipped where shotguns are kind of like slightly below everything else and the other weapons are very good. So I feel like they need to bring the other weapons down a peg, and then these shotguns would actually be a lot more like interesting to use, and the balance between them, like striker pump versus auto versus heavy, could actually be a lot healthier than we've seen with prior shotgun metas in Fortnite, because for most of Fortnite it's really just been pump or like you're trolling. I know there was a brief period where the combat was very good in chapter 1, but outside of that, the pump has always been the best shotgun in Fortnite. So that is one kind of like bright note with chapter 3, is I feel like we do have somewhat of a healthier balance between the shotguns, even if their balance in relation to other weapons isn't the best. So I hope that they end up nerfing the SMGs and toning them down a bit before we get these new weapons added to the game, because people's first impressions are really important. And if we get these new weapons, like the new heavy, added to the game and the SMGs are still just better, people are just going to write it off from the get-go. So I'm looking forward to the heavy shotgun, not so much the machine pistol. A lot of spray weapons just kind of play the same regardless, but I'm excited to try the new heavy and see how it plays in game, and hopefully it can be a new shotgun that we enjoy using in chapter 3. Let me know what you think of all of these weapons coming to the game and which ones you're excited to see. Do you think the heavy shotgun is going to get a rework, or if it's just going to be the slow weapon that we had in chapter 1? So yeah, let me know all that in the comments below, and I will see you guys another time. Thanks for watching.